I moved to Australia to be more independent. I want to speak English like Australian and live like one. In China, it was not possible. My house was small and there were too many of us. I couldn't wait to have a moment to myself, to think, to dream, to be me. I found a homestay accommodation in Australia through a Chinese language website. The family spoke Mandarin. I feel very safe to be living with a Chinese family till I learn more English. But within the days of moving to the house, I realized I've been fooled. I always trusted people too much. I had to share the house with 5 other students, my landlord and her mother. The house was too crowded, more than my house in China. It was not the life I came here for. My landlord got me to sign agreement in English. Well, my English was very bad then. She even refused to give me a copy of it unless I paid 300 Australian dollar. I didn't have that kind of money. I feel scared. But I didn't know anyone who can help me. The house rules were unacceptable. I had to wash my clothes at the same time as other students. No cooking in the kitchen. I didn't have money to eat out all the time. There were many days I didn't eat proper food. I didn't know what to do or who can talk to. I told May, my landlord, that I want to move out in a month. She told me that I have signed agreement for 12 months, and either I have to pay her or she will take the legal action against me. If I tell my parents, they will blame me for my lack of responsibility. I don't have friends here, nor can I afford a lawyer. I can't speak the language well here. If I stay in this house, I will lose my mind, but I don't know what else I can do. My dream of living in Australia is now a nightmare I can't wake up from.
Yeah, there are a couple of things that we suggest people do before they move in, just to stop them getting into the really difficult situation that we've seen Chen in. So we really encourage people to actually inspect the exact same place that they want to move into, not a similar apartment on a different room of the apartment building, but the exact house. And have a good look around, and don't be afraid to ask questions about how the house will work. Will my rent include the bills as well? Does my rent include the internet? And asking those really, really key questions early on can help you stop being taken advantage of when you find your rent creeping up and you're told, oh, that didn't include internet, that didn't include that you were going to have a shower, that didn't include that you were going to make a cup of tea today. So just asking questions early. And there's a good resource called the Share House Survival Guide that you can find online, which has a lot of good tips about what to do before you move into a place, and definitely get something in writing signed with the amount of bond that you'll pay, the dates that you'll live there, anything that you can, get it in writing.
I think they need peer support for that's the case. Somebody who could be a friend who have a stronger English language proficiency who can help you to approach the community, the stakeholders, like the Redfern Legal Center, for example. And in fact, I believe that the Redfern Legal Center do have translation services.
Yeah, absolutely. We get free interpreters that come along each week,
Yep.
and there are a lot of useful fact sheets online. They're in lots of different languages as well.
Yeah. The thing about language proficiency is that if your language proficiency is low, then the confidence level will be very low, and which is why it's very challenging for international students. So getting somebody who you can trust, again, to actually help you to do something about it. Don't just think that it's fine, because it's not fine. You need to do something about it, and you have to take action.
Lyndall, can I ask you to introduce yourself? Hi everyone, I'm Lyndall Bent and I'm here today on behalf of ISANA, which is a membership across Australia for people that work in international education and mainly with support for international students. And I'm currently the Student Services Manager of the Australian Institute of Professional Education.
What kinds of things can the educational institutions offer to people that are experiencing this? Is there ways that they can get help on campus?
Definitely. I think it starts off from before you even leave your home country, which for most of you here it's too late now to hear that information, but hopefully you would have been provided with some information from your educational institute about your rights as a tenant in Australia, how to find accommodation, where are safe places to find accommodation, and ones that they would recommend as well. But also, now that you're here, if you find yourself in a situation like this, make sure you go and seek help from someone where you study. There are people there that are there to help you. There's lots of student support workers around, and just go and ask them for advice. If something doesn't seem right, it's probably not right. So just go and ask and they'll be more than happy to help you.
Did anyone else from the panel want to add anything else to?
Particularly, a lot of education providers, in our experience, provide very good support services to students. And, you really do need to seek them out. And I think letting your education provider know that you have some issues that could be affecting your studies, could be affecting your performance. We saw that in the first scenario where ultimately her performance and she plagiarized and she got into serious trouble with her studies. The earlier those issues come forward and the earlier the education provider knows about them, certainly the less likely that you're going to run into problems from a visa perspective. So I think that was very good advice and I'd certainly support that. Generally, I think that discussion should be initially with the provider. You need to get the provider's support for that and then approach immigration and again get the contact details from us. And I think you'll find that if it's supported by the provider and the circumstances are outlined in the system that the provider uses, it's usually quite manageable.
Great. And Gavin, just...
And just one other thing. If you feel threatened, that's what we're here for too. Okay? It's not just maybe an issue with money, but if you feel that you are threatened, we can certainly do things about that too.
Great. And Mikel?
I think the interesting, the thing that is really well stressed in this case scenario is how difficult it can be for people whose language is English is a second language to deal with practical issues. If you think about how difficult it can be for people whose English is a second language to deal with emotional issues. So that's even more difficult, and that's why services like our Transcultural Mental Health Circle, we do provide counseling in your language. We have a pool of over 100 clinicians who provide counseling for free in your language. They can point you in the right direction. They can give you advice on kind of what other services are available, but they are there for you. And if you do not feel comfortable in talking about emotional issues in English, you can seek our help. That's really important.